Hey everybody, I'm Fonzie Flowers and I'll be talking about the Haitian Revolution. I just want to say first and foremost, I just got Invisalign the other day, so I will be talking a little different than how I typically do. I'm still trying to adjust to the pain and it just caused me to talk a little different, and it'll cause me to take a minute or two to adjust and deal with the pain, but I'll get into it. So what is the Haitian Revolution? The Haitian Revolution is it's the only revolution in history where people who were currently enslaved by another country, um, at the time it was the French who were in control of Haiti at the time. They, as in the enslaved people, they revolted against France to now have the country to themselves. It's the only time in history that this has ever occurred. I mean, you have your revolutions like the American Revolution, which is why we're all here, and you have like your French Revolution. But from a racial standpoint, this is the biggest and most substantial revolution to ever occur. I'll be talking about how the Haitian Revolution not only affected past history, but how it is still very prominent in today's society, and how it helps shape our economy and just the way we live. For my first main point, I'll be talking about the causes of the revolution itself. At the time, Domingue was France's richest colony, powered by enslaved labor on sugar plantations. According to historians, it produced over 40% of Europe's sugar and over 60% of the coffee. The French leadership at the time was maintained through ruthless physical violence and a system of institutional laws, which then they created the Code Noir, which was the Black Code. This, in simple terms, this was a loophole that the French came up with so they could get away with slavery. This is a way where they were able to consider people property instead of people like how you and I are. And this was their, like I said, this was their loophole to avoid any other, I guess, controversy is a way to put it, or other forms of backlash. And the way that the French were able to enforce this Black Code was by, not only were the owners able to punish, verbally abuse, physically abuse the slaves, but anybody and everybody was. So let's say we go back to that time and there's just slaves walking around. Just technically, let's say if I'm just a regular person walking in the street, I could say certain things, I could physically harm them and get away with it, and it'd be considered perfectly fine. This is their way of trying to strike fear into the slaves to help prevent them from doing something like the Haitian Revolution, which is what I'm talking about. So as you can tell, it didn't really work too well. Next, I'll be talking about key events and some of the leaders during this revolution. Boyce Cayman, he was one of the first initial people who came up with the game plan of the revolution. He was tired of the way that the French were treating not only him, his family, but all the other slaves that were in Haiti at the time. He was just known as like the person that initially came up with the main idea for the revolution in itself. There's not really too much other detail that I was able to find, minus the fact that he's one that initially came up with the idea for the revolution. Weeks after he was able to figure out how, in a strategic manner, how he would go about the revolution, over 1,000 plantations were destroyed once the owners caught wind of it, to try and, like I said earlier, strike fear into these slaves to try and alter their brain and make sure that they don't revolt. One of the other substantial leaders at the time, his name is Toussaint Louverture. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He was one of the more corrupt French politicians at the time. He made a law in the Constitution which declared him governor for life. This was to try and help prevent future re-enslavement throughout the community. But at the same time, he was also trying to promote religious tolerance, which ensured that all religions could be practiced freely throughout the whole society. Toussaint was very smart, strategic-wise. He was a military leader, and not only a military leader, but a political strategist. His leadership helped with the Enlightenment thinking. Catholicism and other military trainings were some things that he did earlier on in his life. Majority of that came from when he used to work with the Spaniards back when Spain was one of the powerhouses of the world, where their empire was the greatest. My last point is that I'll be talking about the legacy that the Haitian Revolution's left behind. Not only did the Haitian Revolution become the greatest revolution of all time because of what it did from a racial standpoint, but it caused other countries who had slaves to become scared of what could potentially happen to their colonies that they had throughout the world. One of the other biggest ones was when the United States had their slaves. When France had some of their other colonies throughout the world, they were scared that once these other countries caught wind of what Haiti did, that it was going to happen more frequently. So they tried to really hammer down and try and scare these slaves on these other islands, colonies, countries, to try and prevent them, to try and get them to be as productive as possible without the fear of another revolution. In 1800, In 1800, Gabrielle's rebellion in Virginia, which led by the enslaved blacksmith Gabriel Prosser, was directly inspired by the Haitian Revolution. Authorities discovered plans in her room, but majority of what actually happened was suppressed. Those more important plans were kept somewhere else, that even if soldiers came in to try and raid her room, they wouldn't be able to find. She had it stored somewhere else. But this helped with, this caused a lot of panic throughout the slaveholders throughout America, who, like I've already said previously, they noticed that Haiti was becoming a huge talking point throughout the world, and they tried to avoid all other economies that had slaves in them to try and revolt. The legacy of Haiti continues to influence global freedom movements, from the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa to the Black Lives Matter movement today, both of which drew symbolic power from Haiti as the first Black nation to overthrow slavery and colonialism. Haiti's ongoing economic struggles, which are rooted in post-revolutionary effects, also highlight the long-term effects of colonial extraction and raise questions about reparative justice in the modern world. That summarizes my speech. Thank you for watching.